How's it going, everybody? The Owl House ended, and I'm still not okay, but I'll be darned if this sadness will overpower me to the point where I don't make a power scaling video on cartoon characters. And now that we've seen everything everybody can do in the Owl House, I figured I would power scale who is arguably the strongest character in the series in the most practical sense possible. That, of course, being the Collector. Now this, unlike characters like Luz or Ida, who at this point have had multiple forms I'd need to cover to figure out all the form strengths, the Collector is actually pretty straightforward with his powers. A little kid make boom boom, if you will. He more or less has one form throughout his entire run in the series with no power downs or really power ups that also alter his physical appearance. If I were to give him a power down form, for lack of a better phrasing, is when he was trapped inside the in-between dimension for all those years, where all he could do was make shadow projections to talk to Bellos. Even that seemed to have some kind of fixed range to it as well, because if the mirror is covered by even something as simple as cloth, the Collector can no longer communicate with his shadows. Plus, after Bellos threw his mirror off the bridge, he couldn't still get near Bellos on the surface. He could only use shadows in the area he had been dropped in. Secondly, the Collector does have the possibility to connect with someone else mentally via a Titan Trapper ritual, which is how King was able to hear what was going on with him every now and then, from the events of "O Titan, Where Art Thou?" to King's Tide before completely freeing him. But it's hard to even really consider this a power down form because he was just trapped in this in-between dimension, so it's a little weird. Base is basically what we've seen him capable of doing since he was freed. The man is capable of a lot, by the way. Strength-wise, he's definitely got superhuman strength and or attacking power. His most notable feat of this was when he sent Bellos flying into a wall using just the tip of his finger. This attack didn't have enough force to kill Bellos, but it splatted him hard enough to the point where he was incapable of acting on his own for a couple of minutes. I'd say the next time he was in control of himself was when that sliver of him stuck onto Hunter. Another instance happened in Watching and Dreaming, where he was able to hold a major part of the archives together alone for a time using pink threads. All the while, Bellos' goo virus was spreading around his arms. Durability-wise, I suppose the only thing we really have to go off of is him catching Bellos' blade hand between two fingers without sustaining any damage. Problem is, there aren't any instances where Bellos uses these blade hands on anything to know exactly how much destructive power they have. Regardless, even if they just have the same sharpness levels as a battle axe or something, that's still very impressive. Speed is another instance where there's just not a whole lot to go off of either. Honestly, if it wasn't for Watching and Dreaming playing out the way it did, then I don't think there'd be any type of speed things to go off of. The one thing I'm referring to is when the Collector was dodging Bellos' attacks while trying to forgive him with kindness. Even then, that's more so reaction time rather than actual movement speed. Like most characters in the Owl House, most of the Collector's strength comes from his magical abilities. Two of his most basic abilities are levitation and immortality. Flying is never really a hindrance for someone, and the immortality thing, I actually don't know if that means just longer life, not being able to be killed, or both. I feel like I'd have to just assume the first, since if the Archivists were so threatened by Titan magic, that could imply the Titans, in theory, could kill them. Hard to say for sure, though. As for the more powerful stuff, we got matter manipulation, like completely reshaping the Titan's skull chamber to create the Archive House, conjure crescent moon-shaped projectiles that can travel pretty far distances that can transform living creatures into puppets, where said puppets lose all control over their bodies and the Collector is able to control their movements passively. He can control multiple of them at once, as seen during the fake Owlbeast game with Terra, or when the Coven heads all ready to synchronized attack against Ida when she tried to cross a security line. So in theory, depending on the circumstance, the Collector could control every puppet on the Isles and have an entire witch army under his command. Depending on the person, the Collector can put someone or several people under a genjutsu, if you will, trapping someone in what they would consider their worst nightmare. However, after the events of Watching and Dreaming, it seems possible that under certain conditions, someone can break free from their puppet control. Amity was able to create a light glyph to shock herself awake while in puppet form, and Luz kinda did this too, with the help of Amity. This of course worked since it's technically Titan magic. There's also the star-shaped meteorite shown at the start of For the Future that fall in groups and can create small explosions. Not quite on par with a traditional meteor because the area where the draining spell ritual took place wasn't completely laid out by any of these explosions. Either way, still good stuff. I can't forget the reality warping, where he can send waves of magic through different parts of the Boiling Isles, making said areas looking a lot brighter and more childlike. From what's been shown though, it doesn't seem like this ability is able to cover super large areas, since when Luz and friends got back to the Boiling Isles, there were still a lot of areas that hadn't been affected by the Collector's reality warping. It seems odd to just leave out specific areas like that, you know? Some teleportation magic has been shown from him as well. Just the act of getting all those puppets downtown at the same time was a big one. But he also did this in Watching and Dreaming, where he went from his bedroom area to where Luz, Ida, and King were located by traveling through some kind of star portal. He's also got some clairvoyance to a degree, where he's able to spy on others by sending his eyesight into random areas. Not sure how far the range on this goes, but he was able to use this in his bedroom to spy on King, who was in a completely different part of the archives while going unnoticed. An ability that for sure has good range is his star creation ability, specifically the stars that target other witches to turn them into puppets. These things are able to spread all across the aisles while being able to retain one of the Collector's most notable abilities to themselves. He can also use one to travel great distances with King, which makes me think his levitation powers are not infinite, but at the same time, maybe he just didn't feel like carrying King around all the time while flying. Size manipulation is another one. This was introduced in Watching and Dreaming as well. It's a bit hard to tell, but at one point in the finale, he either made himself gigantic or he made Luz, Ida, and King very small. Either way, it's an incredibly useful and powerful ability. Now, what I believe to be the Collector's craziest feat, or at least one of his craziest feats, is what he did to stop the dreading spell. This guy moved the moon away from the sun's lining just with the tip of his finger. Didn't even actually need to fly up there and touch it either. Nope, that's for weaklings. You don't need to physically touch it. He could just do it all the while standing on the aisle surface. To try to put into perspective just how insane this is, it's been estimated that if we wanted to blow the moon out of the Earth's orbit, we would need somewhere between 10 billion to 10 trillion megatons of TNT to do this. For comparison, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated had the equivalent force of 50 megatons of dynamite. Someone being able to accomplish this while suffering zero kind of injury, fatigue, or power loss is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Maybe his star show at the very end of the finale is arguably more nuts, but I'm not really sure how to do the math on that one, unfortunately. I think that pretty much covers all the major points I wanted to make here. So just how strong is the Collector? Well, when it comes to actual on-screen feats, he's moon level at the bare minimum, but with how easy that was for him to do, I feel like I gotta at least give him high potential to be anywhere on the spectrum between planetary to solar system level, with the star show at the end potentially serving as a good way to help his case in this instance too. Let me know in the comments below if there was anything major I didn't cover that could argue the Collector to be even stronger than I said, or potentially weaker. I would love to know your thoughts. Definitely want to do more of these on other Owl House characters in the future, especially Luz after seeing that new form she got while fighting Titan Bellows. Once again, big thanks to Janky Bones for the incredible work on the thumbnail for this video. They never fail to disappoint, so be sure to check out their art and commission them if you're looking for any high quality artwork done for yourself. Don't be a stranger to hitting that like button down below if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.